Hello and welcome to this edition of Press Conference. I'm your host, Jim DeLorenzo, the principal of Jim DeLorenzo Public Relations. You can find me online at jimdelorenzo.com. I have found that my career in public relations is my true vocation, telling the stories of my clients and colleagues in a compelling way to drive sales, membership, and awareness. I've been blessed in my career, and I have many ideas that might be helpful to you. If you have questions about public relations and how it can help you, please feel free to contact me directly, either by email at jim@jhdenterprises.com or by cell phone at 215-266-5943. I would enjoy a conversation with you. You can also find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. As mentioned, in my career, I've had the good fortune to meet many interesting people: athletes, entrepreneurs, reporters, coaches, authors, executives, editors, entertainers, and innovators. My guest today is Paul Isenberg. Paul is a sales and organization leader with over 30 years of experience in Fortune 100 as well as small to middle market companies. His strength as an effective communicator in leading change has resulted in successfully building, restructuring, and transforming organizations. A natural leader, he has consistently increased productivity and profit dollars throughout his career. Paul is the co-founder and CEO of Bringing Hope Home, which helps families going through the cancer battle through financial assistance and other resources. Bringing Hope Home is a recognized 501c3 organization, which in its first official year, 2008, helped approximately 20 area families. The organization recently crossed its 4,000th family.
6,400, actually.
There you go.
Yeah.
And Bringing Hope Home was also a major contributor to Hope Lodge at the Fox Chase Cancer Center in Philadelphia and at AI DuPont Hospital for Children in Wilmington, Delaware. I'm very pleased to have Paul as my guest today. I've been fascinated by what I've read about Bringing Hope Home and some of the things that you've been doing, and I appreciate the fact that you very actively communicate what the goals of the organization are and what you've accomplished and what you're looking to do next. So if you would, Paul, I'd love to hear about what led you to start Bringing Hope Home.
Sure, and thanks for having me, Jim. And you say effectively communicate. My staff would tell you I never shut up. So it's a nicer way to put it. I appreciate it. So we started Bringing Hope Home, as you mentioned, in 2008, and that actually came from an event that my friend Tim Sherry and I did called the Great Guys Dinner. The Great Guys Dinner was founded in 2001 and has happened every year since. This year it was virtual, but it's happened every year since. And when my late wife, Nicole, who died after a 6.5-year battle with stage 4 Hodgkin's disease, when she was going through treatment, we had a 2-year-old. She was diagnosed when she was pregnant, had Gabrielle, who will be 24 this year. So we had a baby and a 2-year-old. I was working full time. Thank God she was a stay-at-home mom. We had a lot of help, and things were still really hard. And I used to say to her, I ran into Jim today. He's a great guy. I never see anybody. And she said in a really kind way, stop complaining. Go start an event, raise money for charity, invite people you like. So that's why it's called the Great Guy Dinner. Men and women, we have a great time. The first year we had 100 people, raised 13 grand. Wow. We did it for 8 years with the American Cancer Society and then went on our own. And I'll never forget the day we went on our own. It was between our 7th and 8th year, and one of the guys who'd been coming every year, who'd been battling cancer, passed away. And we heard his wife was struggling, so we went to one of our donors and said, every year you give us $5 grand. We weren't even an organization, so all the money went to the American Cancer Society. We invited everybody and raised the money. And we went to this donor and said, every year you write a $5 grand check to the ACS. And the ACS does great work. And we said, this year, write them a $3 grand check. Give us the 2 cash, and together we'll give it to this family.
Oh, wow.
Just to do it. We just wanted to do it. And Tim Sherry, the other co-founder, and I, we gave the family this money. And 2,000 is not nothing, but it's not $1 million.
Sure.
But the impact that somebody cared enough about this family really touched both of us. And we said, there's something here, and we have to figure this out. So that's how we started. First year or two, we were the Great Guys group.
Right.
And then we had to change the name because one of my donors said, I want to write you a big check, but I'm not going to write you a check because you have the word guys in it. It makes it sound like a boys club. And it was interesting because Timmy and I were the only men involved in the organization at that time. And 70% of the families we helped were women. So I said, oh, okay. It took a while, but we became Bringing Hope Home. So.
It is interesting, too, because when you test these things out and you start talking to people, you hear those different reactions.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think about that because we don't think about things that way. So that's how we started up. So, our job is to be a family to the families that we help. You're not allowed to use the patient word in our office. It's a $1 fine. It's called the P word. And we help families. We help local families with cancer. We treat them like our families. We try to respect them as best we can. They're not a patient to us. They're a patient to everybody else.
Oh, wow.
Not to us.
Yeah.
So.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, what gave you the impetus when you made that initial foray, when you went to your donor and said $2,000 to this family?
Yeah.
And why that particular family, or why did you? How did you see that as the pivot point?
The family was just somebody that we knew that was just great people, like so many other families, and we just felt we could make a little bit of a difference.
Right.
And the reason I did it is when Nicole was sick, we had the best of a really bad situation. We had great family support. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law lived with us to help. We had great friend support, great neighborhood support, great school support, great church support, great work support. I worked for great companies that allowed me flexibility. And it was still unbelievably hard. And Nicole and I would leave some of the treatments, and she would give me a list of people to help. She'd say, hey, this guy is looking for a new job. Hey, this person needs a plumber. You know somebody. So she, like you, spent a long time in the area, a long time on our network. And she used to give me a list of people to help. We weren't around yet as an organization.
Right.
She just told me,
these are people that
I like to be happily married, so I like to do what I'm told. And we felt that if we were having such a hard time with everything that we had, all the positives, our faith, family, and friends, there's other people that don't have one of those, any of those.
Sure.
So what can we do? So that was the reason, that was the real impetus behind. Let's start something that can be a family to other families.
That's fascinating because, you think about all the agencies that we hear about and all the larger nonprofits and foundations that we hear about. And there is that, okay, I gave money to this, but the trickle down, if you will,
right?
Getting the direct assistance like that, that is something that's so remarkable about what you're doing, and that is a growing need, is because of bureaucratic red tape and not necessarily you get a diagnosis and you don't really know what to do next.
Yeah.
And sometimes in the healthcare field, I found from my experiences with my father and my mother and my mother-in-law, you don't know who to turn to for the answers.
And a lot of people don't have an advocate.
Yeah.
A lot of people just are showing up because they're told to show up, and haven't been explained to, nobody's explained to them, here's how you can get assistance, or here's how you help. And we help all types of people with all types of cancer. And we pay rent, mortgage, utility, car payment, and food.
Oh, wow.
And we don't give any money to the family.
Right.
We get the bills from the family. We confirm that they're real. We try to negotiate them down. And by the way, not we have a family department made up of Amy and Judy. And then the checks go directly to the bills. So there's no cash actually goes to the family.
That's fantastic.
And the only thing that the family might get is gift cards for supermarket.
Sure.
We have a big partnership with Acme and other supermarkets, and we want to get those people the food they need, especially when they're immunocompromised or going through chemo. And we just want to remove some stress. We're not going to cure the illness, but if we can remove some stress, we can deploy that money pretty quickly. We take the family nominations come directly from the social worker at the hospital. So the family has to be in our area, which is the Northeast. It's on our website, bringinghopehome.org, but the greater Philadelphia area, into Baltimore, a little into Pittsburgh, North Jersey, Southern New York, Southern Connecticut, and the greater Philadelphia area. And that family has to be in our area and has to be in some form of active treatment that the social worker will vouch for. So
Now, how do you make yourself aware? How do you make the social workers aware of what you do? Is that
constant conversation.
Right.
In fact, today, Monday after the holiday, this is our nomination day. So the first business day of the month is today. So the nominations come in, and when I left around 1 o'clock today, we had already had 35 plus applications in.
Wow.
So, and I just had a conversation with my director of family outreach, Amy Siebold, and she's saying, you know what, this one social worker at this one hospital, we used to get a nomination from her every month. Then she had a baby, went on maternity leave, she just got back. We haven't gotten anything.
Oh, wow.
So we have to call her.
Right.
Remind her. You have to remind her.
We're still
I know
here.
you're busy. I know you got stuff going on. Please let us know.
Yeah.
So it's like any other business. You have to reach out. You have to contact people. You have to create a dialogue. We do a social worker newsletter. We're on the phone, probably like you.
Yeah.
If I'm on the phone, it's 80% of my day.
Yeah.
But I enjoy it. So.
Sure. Now, as you mentioned, as I said, you're a natural communicator,
yes.
And I think that's a very valuable resource to have, because as I've learned over the years in the public relations industry, if you have a great story to tell, you have to be able to tell it all the time.
Right, and you got to believe it.
Exactly, and you have I could see. Well, I also heard in our conversations earlier, you have a passion for what you're doing. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing it.
I love what I do.
Yeah,
and I think that's born from living it. I think it's born from Nicole passing away and me not being able to control that or change that. And I really, we are driven because we want to take some of that away from a family.
Sure.
If we can give any relief, like we have a family just through a contact, a gentleman called us, his mom was suffering from cancer. And I got an email from him on Friday, I think it was Friday, that his little boy has been diagnosed with cancer.
Oh my gosh.
Can you help me?
Yeah.
And you just want to reach and hug that guy and his family and say, let's talk about what you need.
Right.
What can we do? Because that's what we care about. We just want to help more families.
Sure.
That's all we want to do.
And it is a family experience.
Yes.
When someone gets sick, and I think that's I would love to show. I think we have some photos that Paul gave us of our. This is one of your recent events.
Yeah, that's at our 5K stomp in Westchester, Pennsylvania. We're affectionately known as Hope Nation. That's a registered trademark, and this is Hope Nation. These are about 800 people at a Friday night in Westchester coming together to run. If you can see in the lower left is Swoop.
I see Swoop there, yeah.
We're very blessed to be partners with the Eagles, the Phillies, the Flyers, the Sixers, the Union. So that's a great that's a great event for us. We couldn't have it this year, but we'll be back.
And then I think we have another photo of...
That's our Phillies family reunion 2 years ago at Chicky and Pete's, where every family we've helped that year gets a free ticket or tickets to the game, a hat or T-shirt, and lunch, and we all show up. And it's one of because our families are so ill, we don't get to see them in person.
Sure.
So it's one of my favorite days because I get to see Amy and Judy, who've been talking to these families all year long, get to meet each other.
Right.
It's wonderful. So that's one of our favorite events.
That's really neat.
There's our team. So that's the best team in the history of the free world that I work with.
How many people do you have on your team now?
We're now 7 full-time, 2 part-time.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And then that's one of our families. We do an adopt a family program every Christmas and holiday season. This year was all virtual with electronic gift cards, but the donor, like if your family adopted a family, you get a family, you get a list, you get a story, and you would get to buy, wrap, and deliver the presents to your family that you adopted. So, and we also do Zach Ertz, who and his wife Julie are wonderful with the Ertz Foundation. This was the 3rd or 4th year in a row where we took care of about 150 families at Thanksgiving with Acme Markets.
Oh, fantastic.
It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
Wow.
Zach and Julie couldn't be there, so we were outside in the parking lot, and the families would drive up, and Swoop was there, and Zach and Julie would do a video message to each family.
Oh, wow.
And then we would drive up and our volunteers would load the car with 2 boxes of full dinner from Acme Markets and their vendors. And then it was the best.
Wow.
So a lot of fun stuff.
That's exciting. That's really exciting. We have a lot more to talk about with Paul. We're going to take a quick break. When we come out of the break, you'll be seeing a short video about bringing hope home, and then we'll have more conversation with Paul coming up.
Boardwalks built for fun. Legendary rock and roll clubs.
This is how we do it. Hippity hop.
Casinos by the ocean.
Hippity hop.
Now that's New Jersey. 130 miles of beautiful beaches, solid rock, and everything in between.
Look in the window.
Now that's New Jersey. Plan your New Jersey trip at visitnj.org. Waves of fun. Nights of excitement. And a trail of memories. Now that's New Jersey.
Hey, Hope Nation. I hope this video is finding everyone safe and well in these difficult times. I just wanted to share a couple quick thoughts I had regarding bringing hope home and all the fantastic work that they do. I myself am a family member of someone who was helped directly by bringing hope home, and I know that every dollar that they can goes towards families to help pay bills, groceries, utilities, everything that they need for the month, to just give them a little bit of breathing room and give them some reprieve so that they can worry about the more important things like getting to the doctor and spending time with family as opposed to have to worry about where their next meal may be coming from. Also, from a standpoint of donorship and being able to contribute to bringing hope home, I know that every dollar that I contribute to bringing hope home is going directly to helping families of those who are affected by cancer. Paul and his team do phenomenal work. I love them like family, and I'm very grateful to be part of such a great organization like Bringing Hope Home.
Welcome back to Press Conference. My guest is Paul Isenberg of Bringing Hope Home, and you just saw a short video from one of the families that...
That was Ben Courtney. His mom, Penny. We're not supposed to have favorite family. She's one of our favorites, and he's wonderful, and the dad, Peter's wonderful. Just a great family.
And that was neat to hear him talking about what it does.
It really gratifies me when somebody articulates what you want your organization to be when you first started. That's really gratifying.
Now, you started Bringing Hope Home at the Good Guys.
Yeah, great guys.
Great guys. In 2008, and this was driven by the experiences you had with your late wife.
Yes, correct.
What had you done in your career up to that point that kind of led you to that path?
I've always been a sales professional.
Okay.
So I worked in television. I worked for a small ABC affiliate in Oak Hill, West Virginia, on the sports desk for like a hot minute. And I went to work for Scott Paper back in the day.
Yeah.
I went to work for Shared Medical Systems. I was an insurance broker for 8 years, and more recently I worked for Haverford Trust. And Haverford Trust enabled me to do this job. So I've always been in sales at some level.
And now you're in sales in a different way, bringing.
Yeah, it's really no different, to be honest. But it's a lot. I work harder, but it's an easier job.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
You're working harder because it's a passion
It's a
of yours.
passion,
Yeah.
and I've always worked for great companies, so it was always easy to work for great companies. Like, I'm very comfortable. I still refer people to Haverford Trust. They're such a great organization and such great people. And my whole mode has always been, hey, this is what we do. This is how we do it. Do you want to learn more? Do you want to be a part of it? How can we get you involved? Like we were just talking in the break. Well, we'll sit and we'll talk about it.
Exactly.
It's got to be beneficial for everybody. You know, we need to benefit so we can help more families, but we also want you and our donors to benefit because they feel that connection, or they're able to have an outlet, or they're able to take their skills and participate. What is it that you want to do?
Right.
That's what the conversation's about. How can we be a good fit for you? And sometimes the answer is we can't.
Sure.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I'll refer you to somebody who would fit. Because that's we try to do the right thing at all times.
It's almost like a matchmaking process. Yeah.
It really is.
I always think of that when I talk to people and I have an idea of who they should talk to next. I always think of the connecting.
Yep.
And going beyond LinkedIn and going beyond networking, but just kind of making a connection. Always seems to be important to me to be able to share some connections.
No, I
and some
agree.
thoughts.
And you're always connecting the dots. Like you're I don't know, I'm ADD, so I'm usually like 30 dots ahead of where we were when we started. So not always on the same page, but I got a lot of dots going.
I understand. Yeah, I don't know. Not sure if I'm ADD, but I'm certainly. I got lists going in my head all the time.
I know.
You know, sometimes I even write them down. Now, you recently wrote down some thoughts.
Yes.
At the end of last year, you published Lessons Learned: A Comprehensive Strategy for Building a Passion-Driven Nonprofit, which we have a copy of it right here. What prompted you to write this book, and what do you tell us about in the book?
What prompted me is when we first started out as a nonprofit, we knew nothing. We were just two guys, Timmy and I, just raising money, trying to help. And then I would get calls I would call other nonprofit people, like Liz Scott from Alex Lemonade was very kind to me. Marcy Shankwater from For Pete's Sake was very kind to me. And they would take these calls so I could ask these rudimentary, stupid questions, and they were so patient with me. And really helped us. And then as we started getting larger and being around more and going through more things and learning more, I was starting to get those calls, which I love to get. And I would talk to everybody. But I started realizing that we run as a pretty lean organization. We're 7 full-time people, and we're a $2.3 million company.
Sure.
We're busy, and I don't want to slough anybody off. So I said, what were the biggest questions that I got? What were the biggest questions I used to ask the most? And I wanted to put them in a book. And the way that we put them in the book was not, hey, this is how smart we are, read this book. Every topic starts with how an important issue, why it's important, how we screwed it up, and then how we fixed it and how you should do it now.
Okay.
So when we put our first board together, we had to give or get $5,000 for each of our board members. And I thought we had explained it, it didn't work out. We had to dismantle the board and start over again. So that chapter in the book is how to build a board. And it's like, this is why it's important. Here are the problems and why we screwed it up the first time and what you should avoid. And here's how we did it the second time and how it worked out really well.
Okay.
So that's what the book's about. That's why we wrote the book.
How long did it take you to put it together?
Well, I would say 5 years because I have ADD and I kept trying to write it myself. And then about the beginning of 2020, I hired a great ghostwriter who, if anybody ever wants to get a great ghostwriter, Kyle's his name. I'll send them out to him. But hiring him was the best thing I ever did.
Sure.
Kyle Fager. So
You were able to funnel your ideas, and he could put it into.
and he kept me on track,
Yeah.
which is not easy to do. So when he said to me, we're going to talk every Thursday and you need to have these things done, I had to be ready.
Sure.
So it was able to get done. But anybody's looking for a good ghostwriter, just call me.
All right. All right.
But it was great to be able to write that book, and because it's almost like a culmination of the things that I've learned, the things that people have taught me, and the ability to let people benefit and hopefully save time and energy and money from that.
That's neat. And I think what I like about the title, I was researching it online the last couple days, and what I liked about the title was a passion-driven nonprofit, which comes through in our conversation, but also in the work that you're doing. It is a passion project. It is a passion experience. And I think that in any situation, whether it be a nonprofit, whether it be a for-profit, whether it be a small company or a big company, if you don't have a passion for what you're doing, you are lost. It's pointless. And
you're definitely operating at a deficiency.
Yeah.
And nobody can tell you, here's how you start passion. Like nobody can, here, do these 3 things and then you'll be passionate about them.
All of a sudden I have the passion now.
So my children are in their 20s and some of them are trying to figure out what they want to do. And I'm like, just keep doing a lot of stuff and eventually something will come to you. Because I didn't really get into this. I got into this through a really sad piece.
Sure.
But I didn't think about it as a job until I was, 38, 40 years old. And I always liked what I did, but in fact, my wife I got remarried to a wonderful woman who's a widow who actually went through a cancer battle. And she's very supportive of this. But there are times where she says to me, okay,
slow it down.
Slow it down.
Yeah.
Just put the phone away, take a break.
It's good to have that counsel. Yeah. Wise counsel. Yeah. I'm blessed with that as well. But again, the whole idea of passion and enthusiasm, sometimes the enthusiasm can be beaten out of you.
You got to replenish.
Yeah.
I often refer to passion as you have so much in the tank, and you only expend it if you don't refuel it. You got to figure out what it is that refuels you. Going for a walk. I mean, my team. We've had in our world, we lose people that we're close to.
Sure.
Everybody does. We tend to do it a lot because of what we do. And I remember years ago when one of our family people I walked in, she was in tears, and I said, "What's going on?" She goes, "So-and-so just passed." And I was upset.
Sure.
And I said to her, "Look, you need to go home, do what it is you do. Go for a walk, take a nap, read a book, pet a dog. Whatever you need to refuel, go do that. Because you have to do that."
Sure.
So.
It's interesting. I really appreciate you sharing some of this information with us. If people want to get in touch with you, the website is
bringinghopehome.org.
bringinghopehome.org, and I encourage you to take a look. I think they're doing great work. Paul and his team have come up with something that's really, really interesting and compelling. Sometimes we talk about the heart stories versus the head stories, and this is a heart story that makes you think after you feel it. And I really encourage people to contribute and to take a look. And also the book, for those of you who are involved in nonprofits or are thinking about getting involved with a nonprofit, Lessons Learned, A Comprehensive Strategy for Building a Passion-Driven Nonprofit by Paul Isenberg. It is on Amazon and a few other places as well. I encourage you to take a look. Paul, thank you very much for being a guest.
Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
For being a guest today. I really appreciate your time, and I'm looking forward to more conversations with you down the line.
Thanks, Jim. I appreciate it.
And I encourage you, if you have any questions or comments, to feel free to get a hold of me, either by phone at 215-266-5943 or by email at jim@jhdenterprises.com. I'm also on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. No TikTok yet, though. And I look forward to hearing from you. I hope to hear from you soon, and I look forward to seeing you all again here very, very soon. Goodbye.